MMA is not only a sport, it's entertainment. And there's nothing we could do about it. If I wanted to be in a system where there would be rankings and I would be rewarded for my results, I would be an Olympic athlete, and I would find another sport. In this sport, we got to entertain. The way I can do it is by fighting my ass off and putting on good fights, and eventually be interesting enough, to be the guy to fight for the title. And I know that I'm going to sell pay per view just by my style, and but other guys are going to do it by talking.
April 16th, you're back in action, headlining, against Belal Muhammad. I'm sure, you wanted to face someone that's ahead of you in the rankings, but, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. What was Belal the first option for your next fight?
I mean, I didn't have many options. As we know, Gilbert is number two right now. He's not a guy that I'm going to fight. We had Masvidal and Kobe set to fight. Leon seems, that he's going to go for the title fight next. So I didn't have many options. And Bilal just made sense. He's number five on the ranking. Uh, I did get offered to fight Chimaev in London, and I told the UFC that I was ready for that. I think Bilal was offered that fight as well, and but it didn't work out. So it just made sense to fight Bilal. He's number five. I'm number four. I think that whoever wins is gonna be a step closer to the title. So yeah, it's a fight that makes sense right now. Even though it's a rematch, it makes sense.
Why did they say that it didn't work out, the fight in London with Chimaev?
So I don't really know why it didn't. They offered me the fight, and I said that I would take it. I don't know if there was some kind of issue, with Chimaev, or if they wanted, just to wait and make the fight at another moment. So I don't know. It was never something official. It was more just of like, hey, would you be in for this fight? I said, yeah, I'm definitely in, and that was it. Yeah.
So all this talk, right, of nobody wanting to fight Chimaev, like there was that thing for a while, right? Nobody wants to fight him, but really, people are getting offered fights. Bilal said he was offered. You just said he was offered. So what do you think of this narrative that's being created about like him, nobody wanting to fight him?
I don't know, man. I can talk about me, and I was down to fight him for sure. So, and I know Gilbert as well, and I know that he was always down to fight him, and now he is actually going to fight him. So, I think they just wanted to build his name a little bit more. He has all that hype going, and fans, like casual fans, believe anything they hear. So they hear that, oh man, Chimaev, nobody wants to fight him. He's a terrifying guy, and he's gonna beat the whole division. Guys, like, they'll hear that and they'll get excited and they'll get behind that fight, and that sells the fight. So I think that that's what they were trying to build. And but on my end and on Gilbert's end, I know for sure the two of us, we were always down to fight him.
Yeah, like you said, this fight coming up against Muhammad, it's a rematch of your fight in 2016. That was a beautiful first round knockout for yourself. Watching him throughout the years, and him developing and evolving, how much evolution has he made? Have you seen in him?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen tons of evolution. I think that he became a much more complete fighter and really intelligent. That's what I take from his last fights. He has followed his game plan, man, perfectly. And making sure and changing from different. He has fought grapplers, he has fought strikers, and in every fight he kind of adjusts his game a little bit, changes, what he's gonna do, and beats his opponents. So I think that's what he has evolved a lot. I feel like nowadays he can, impose his game plan better than his opponents, and that's what I've been getting ready for. I think that my first fight was a great win, but I don't take it much as an example because I fought for a minute and a half, something like that. It was a quick fight. So I didn't get to feel much of what he was going to do to me in that fight. So I see this as a new fight. I'm definitely not going to underestimate Bilal. just because I beat him. I think that he's a different fighter now, and it's hard when you fight a guy that wants revenge, that wants that loss back and wants to get the win. It's hard. I faced that against Nico Price, and the second fight against Nico Price was much tougher than the first one. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have my eyes on Belal and make sure that I don't make any mistakes.
There's this thing that some fighters say that when you accept a rematch with the guy that you already have beaten, there's a lot more pressure on you to go out there and do better than the first fight, right? Even though it's going to be a completely different fight. That was like 5 years ago, that fight. So is there a little bit of a pressure? I'm pretty sure there's always pressure, but I'm just saying, like, with the matchup, just in general.
Yeah, I think there is, and I mean, it adds the pressure because everybody expects me to win. Everybody, okay, you beat this guy already, so you're gonna go out there and beat him again. But it's much more complicated than that. We have days where we're really good, everything clicks, and we just go out there and get a win. And there are days that things work, everything against me, and it doesn't work out. And I cannot say like maybe that night everything was perfect for me and something was going wrong for him, and that's why I beat him. So I don't know. Like I cannot go and say, okay, I'm gonna knock him out again in the first round. I don't know. I know that I'll be ready to beat him, and I'm gonna do everything I can to take him out every single minute of the fight, as I always do. But I cannot guarantee anybody anything. He's going out there to try to beat me, and it's gonna be a fight, like every single time I step in there. So, I think it is pressure, but at the same time, it adds pressure. But I deal really good with that kind of pressure. That motivates me. So for this training camp, I'm really excited because I'm going to be fighting a guy that wants to beat me, not only because he wants a rematch, but he is, walking towards that title fight. He has talked about it. He called out Kamaru on his last fight, so he believes that he's got what it takes to become a champion, and that's a challenge for me. He is. I would say like he has some good grappling and good wrestling. He's kind of like the guys that I'm gonna face, and eventually I'm gonna fight Kamaru or Leon, whoever is the champion. These two guys also grapple, also wrestle. So it's for me, it's kind of like a lot of motivation in this fight. It's gonna be 5 rounds. He's a guy that wants to go out there and beat me in a dominant way, and it's preparing. If I get a win over this guy, I'm even closer to the title. Maybe I'll be next for the title. So it's a lot of uh, pressure that motivates me.
Did you train the first part of this training camp at Sanford MMA?
Yeah, I was there for over a month, I think, training, and it was great. I always feel like I need to spend time in at Sanford MMA and here, and in different periods of my, let's say, career. And in the beginning of the year, I felt like that was the moment. I didn't have a fight yet when I started training over there, and then mid training camp over there, I got my fight, the deal and everything. So then I was able already to start thinking about my opponent and kind of working on that with all the guys at Sanford and especially Henry. So it's great, to mix it up between Serrato MMA, Sanford MMA. I get to work with a lot of tough guys up there in Florida, and yeah, and whenever like it's time to really focus on my specific training for the fight, that's when I come down here to Brazil at Serrato and just have all the eyes on me and make sure that I get everything I need specifically for my fight.
Was Gilbert already in training camp when you started yours?
He was training already, and he
Mm.
was, getting ready to have a fight, but he wasn't sure if when the fight was gonna happen and if he was gonna get Chimaev or not. But he kind of had an idea, so he was,
Mm.
staying ready, but not like crazy
Yeah.
training camp specific, not yet. Like he was staying ready and getting ready for whatever was gonna go on next.
At Sanford, were you able to like test out some things that you've been working on at Serrato MMA? Because you got all these different bodies and high level guys with different skill sets, and it allows you to kind of play around and see what you can do with stuff before you maybe actually implement it in a fight.
For sure, man. Sanford is crazy. Right now, they have I don't know, I would say at least 12 welterweights and welterweights that are doing really good in their respective, promotions and everything. So it's crazy. I train a lot of wrestling with Logan. So Logan from Bellator, he's a beast. He's a beast. I mean, he's the best wrestler I've ever trained with. And you know, I I love to train wrestling because that's something that people are going to try to do with me. Try to take me down, try to put me on the cage, control me. And training with guys like Logan, it just moves my level. Uh, Up. And also, Jason Jackson is another guy that I've been working a lot with ever since the Black Zillions and to this day. And he's doing super well at Bellator as well. Ian Gary, the UFC fighter, Irish guy, man, he's awesome. I have a lot of fun always that I talk to him, and he's a beast in striking. He's young. Yeah, I can see him, becoming a monster of a fighter, and his striking skills are really, really good. Some other guys, Russian guys, great. Like at all, the Russian guys are crazy because they're great at everything. I train a lot with Muhammad, and he's a great grappler and a great striker. Great, it's that sambo. I don't know whatever they do over there, but they are really, complete. They can do everything. So it's great training. Every time I'm at Sanford, I have so many guys to work with, and guys that are in my division and that are in the best, at the highest level of my division. So that's really good.
I believe Belal Muhammad, he trained at Sanford in the past. Have you ever trained with him?
He has trained at Sanford. I wasn't there when that happened, but I trained with him last year in Vegas. So we were there for, I don't remember which UFC it was. It was the one where Nick Diaz fought Robbie Lawler. So we were there, and we're both managed by Ali. So we were all together. We went to dinner and everything, and then next morning they told me, there's gonna be training. We're gonna train at the PI if you want to go there. So I went there. We worked out a little bit, but nothing crazy. It was some grappling and then some MMA sparring, but really like small gloves, mostly technical. And I had a great time. He's a really nice guy, just like me. We don't mind training with each other. We know that eventually we could fight again, and that's just how it is. I mean, I think that it's mostly, I don't know. I don't mind training with guys and eventually fighting them. I think it's natural. It's in other sports, it's super natural. People play tennis and they'll train with each other and then they'll play against each other. So I think it's just, for me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, as long as it's not like full blown sparring half fight.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to be with guys like Bilal is one of those guys. I trained with him, and we were training technically. We wanted to kind of like develop some things. I was working on some things that I could do. He was working on things that he could do, but we weren't trying to take each other's head off. We wanted to trying to prove who's the best fighter. We'll do that when we fight. And that's it. We don't got to prove anything in training.
Yeah, definitely. And when you look at this matchup from the outside, looking in, and the first fight, how it ended, there's a high possibility that he's going to try to implement some kind of strategy similar to what he did to Wonder Boy. Do you see that being part of his game plan?
I definitely see that, and not only against him, but against most guys that are grapplers and wrestlers. When I see and kind of look the other way around, like I try to imagine how would I fight myself when I see what I can do in grappling and what I see what I can do in striking. I think like, man, I would wrestle myself. I would try to not let me fight so that I can, at least tire him out, at least maybe for 2 or 3 rounds, and then open it up, and then do different things. So when I think of that, yeah, I think he's gonna try to, kind of make sure that he can control me, kind of like what he did with Wonder Boy, but maybe not so offensive on the ground because I also have tools on the ground. I can submit people. I can put him in danger. So I think he's gonna try to control me and maybe get me tired. Maybe he thinks that, especially we're gonna fight 5 rounds now. So maybe he thinks that, yeah, I can get him tired and then eventually I'll push the pace. So I'm getting ready for that, and I hope he does that because when I see like the top of the division, Kobe, Kamaru, Leon. They are guys that are going to do that as well. So if eventually I got to fight one of those guys, I'm getting ready right now. And it's great because my last fight was against Chiesa, who also was a grappler. So I've been getting ready for this. The top of the division is full of wrestlers and grapplers, and I'm the striker here. So I got to get ready and got to get smart because these guys are going to try to grapple me, and I know that's what's going to happen. So I don't know. It's just natural. It's normal for me, and it's something that I enjoy. It's a challenge, and I want to show that strikers can go out there and beat grapplers as well, and beat wrestlers.
Well, you're the striker that's choking out all the grapplers. That you have like your last two fights are Darce chokes. It's like almost natural for you. Is it like something that you hit like all the time in training, like the Darce?
The funny thing is, like, I go for it a lot in training, but because everybody knows it, it's hard for me to get it in training. And I think that's what makes it better because even though I'm not able to finish so many times in training, I still try to finish them. I try to finish guys. And guys already know what's gonna happen, so they can defend. And I gotta find out like different ways to do it, different ways to adjust it, and that makes my Darce even better.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this fight, man. So, how do you see this fight? The first fight was 80 seconds long. Like you said, it didn't really get to show too much, but it's always good to get a quick finish. How do you see this fight playing out? Do you feel like it's gonna play out more on the ground or on the feet?
I would say there's going to be a lot of grappling, especially at the start. I think it's something that even if I kind of block takedowns and try to get out of that, Bilal can, he can push the pace and he can kind of keep on coming. And I would say, like, he's really focused on what he does. He's hard headed. He doesn't give up. So he's going to keep on trying to do that. So I do see like the fight at some point, having some kind of grappling. But most of everything, like, I think it's gonna be an exciting fight. That's how I always see my fights. Be it on the floor, be it on striking, wherever it's gonna play out, I'm gonna be looking to finish. I'm gonna be looking to push the pace, to put him in danger, and that's what I see. So I don't think it's gonna be a quick fight. I think he's gonna be really ready for this fight, and he's a guy that can take a lot of damage. I'm the only guy that has ever knocked him out, and it was a clean shot I hit right there. It's a shot that not always we are able to land, and I've seen him be kicked to the head and come back. So he's a tough guy. So I don't see it as a quick finish, but I do believe I'll get it finished before the 5 rounds. And I don't know if it's standing or on the ground, but it's gonna be a fun fight to watch for sure.
Him being hard headed, with his game planning, it could also lead to mistakes. You know what I mean? That he's not gonna see something from you, and he's just gonna be focused on himself too much, right? And not be defensive, and that's where it could lead to a finish. I think that's where your last two fights, these guys kind of like was stubborn in their ways, and then it just led to them getting choked out.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nowadays when I look at myself, like, people know that I'm gonna hit the darts, and my last two fights were darts finishes. One and against two guys, that are black belts in jiu-jitsu. So I think that sometimes they focus so much on my striking and on avoiding, that striking, they forget about my ground game. And I have a lot of tools. I don't only have the Darce and the Anaconda. I have other things too, but it just happens that the Darce and Anaconda are there, and I go for them, and they work out. So yeah, I think sometimes guys, get too much into, okay, this guy has, heavy hands. He's dangerous on the feet. Let me get him down. But we'll see. Like, I can show my tools over there, and on the fight, we're gonna see what's gonna happen.
For sure. A couple more questions about the division before I let you go. Colby Covington,
Sure.
right? He goes in there, UFC 272, defeats Jorge Masvidal pretty dominantly. He's out there calling out Poirier, and now he's talking about Adesanya. He's not really talking about his division, the welterweight division. And I feel like the winner of this fight could possibly face Covington, right? Because Covington is number one in the division. Do you see that possibly happening if you get this victory?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely see that because we have Kamaru probably fighting Leon, and that's I don't know when it's gonna be, maybe July, something like that. I, right now my focus is on beating Bilal, but I do that, and if I do that in a great fashion, I think I could be really close to a title fight. I don't want to wait. I don't want to wait to see what's going to go on. So I think that I would need another fight before fighting the title. And I think that maybe Kobe would be that fight. He's definitely right now at number one. He's coming off a win, so maybe that's the fight to make. But first, I gotta go past Bilal, and I gotta do it dominantly and show everyone why I'm climbing the division and why I should be next for the title.
I don't know if you saw today that Conor McGregor, he did an interview and he's talking about he's going to return in late summer and he wants to return against Kamaru Usman and fight for the title. So could you see McGregor skipping over Leon Edwards and getting an immediate title shot?
Man, that's hard. I could see it because I don't know. Every crazy thing always happens to Leon. Always. Like when he has the opportunity, something crazy pops up. But I don't know. I think that the money is there and the UFC would be interested in that. Like Kamaru, he gets pay per view money. So I think that he would like that fight as well. But honestly, like I don't think it is the fight to make, and especially because McGregor isn't coming off wins. He isn't like I don't know. It's hard. It doesn't make any sense. Only money. That's the only sense that makes. But everything is not about money. So I don't know. I think it could happen if the UFC decides that's what they want and they want to take that opportunity to sell a lot of pay per views. It might happen. I hope it doesn't. I hope Leon gets his shot finally, and we can move on with that and make the division keep on moving.
It's great to see that, you and a couple other guys that are top contenders in the division supporting Leon getting the title shot rather than just like, no, I want to get because of course you want the title shot, but I'm glad that fighters are supporting each other in this situation, and Dana said he's open to it. He said, I don't know, let's talk about Conor fighting for the title. You know how Dana is. He's a
Yeah, man. I
promoter,
mean,
so.
I mean that's the thing. MMA is not only a sport; it's entertainment. And there's nothing we could do about it. If I wanted to be in a system where there would be rankings and I would be rewarded for my results, I would be an Olympic athlete, and I would find another sport. In this sport, we got to entertain. The way I can do it is by fighting my ass off and putting on good fights and eventually be interesting enough, to be the guy to fight for the title. And I know that I'm gonna sell pay per view just by my style, and but other guys are gonna do it by talking. So it's not something that I get mad about. I understand whenever they decide to do that. I'll fight more and I'll put on better shows and I'll knock guys out, clean out and have a great highlight. And that's just gonna move, let's say, my worth up. And whenever I get to that title fight, I'm gonna be a guy that is gonna deserve that for real.
Yeah, and we saw, Charles DuBronx do it. He didn't talk nothing. He just kept winning, and then his fights just sold pay-per-views. That's how he did it, right? And going back to McGregor Usman, how do you see that fight playing out if McGregor comes back and fights for the title? Do you see Usman knocking out McGregor?
I don't know, like McGregor. All that I would see on him right now is like some he has great timing,
Mhm.
so he's able to time guys really well. He could hit Kamaru with something clean and maybe get a win. But other than that, I think that Kamaru goes in there and dominates him, and possibly and probably finishes him, especially because McGregor doesn't do well in 5 rounders. His rhythm goes down. He just doesn't look as good in the fourth and the fifth as he does in the rest of the fight. And Kamaru, man, he looks even better in the fifth round than he does at the first. So unless McGregor catches him in something crazy, and Kamaru can take a shot. You know, I've seen him get hit in some fights clean, and he doesn't even wobble. So unless something crazy happens, I see a win for Kamaru and a dominant win for sure.
All right, and sticking with Kamaru, he's really pushing to go box Canelo, right? And that could hold up the division even longer if that actually happens. But it doesn't seem like Dana White's too interested in making that fight. Looking at that fight, you know, you box, you train boxing heavily. Does Usman have a chance? You know what I mean?
Man, it's hard to say. I mean, I look at Canelo and I tell you, Canelo is another level. That's another level of boxing, especially right now. You know, we don't live like the greatest era of boxing. You know, it's not like everybody's high level, but Canelo is different. You know, Canelo is dominating, and the way that he fights. I mean, it's hard to say that anybody from MMA could step in there and go out there and knock him out. Especially like nobody's gonna dominate Canelo. That's for sure. Maybe you can, you know, find a punch, catch him, and knock him out. But he has been hit by Triple G, by guys that hit hard, and he's, you know, he's tough. So I don't know, honestly and realistically, I wouldn't say Kamaru could get in there and beat him. But then again, a fight is a fight, so anything can happen. But I would definitely like if I'm gonna put my money, I'll put my money on Canelo.
For sure. Anything could happen. Jake Paul knocked out Tyron Woodley.
Yeah,
I was
I
shocked
know.
by that.
Yeah,
So anything can happen. Um,
yeah.
April 16th, UFC Fight Night. Vicente, always good catching up with you, man. Great chats as always. Thank you so much. All the best in the fight.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I always also appreciate talking to you. And let's go. April 16th. I'm gonna put on a show for everybody. Let's go.